Oh. Good morning, everybody. Quick stop to the music there. Keith Engle for TGI Sports Talks, one-on-one with Keith Engle. Unfortunately, and I'll talk more about this as more people come in the room and kind of update you as we go along here. Dennis Rasmussen, my guest today, former Yankee Red Padre, was a last-minute cancel. These things happen. Life happens. So I woke up to a message from Dennis this morning that he wouldn't be able to make it and we'll have to reschedule, which I certainly will do. So today's going to be a little bit different. I guess you guys can interview Keith. We'll see how long. This might be a 5-minute show today. I don't know. So you can ask me for 1 hour anything you want to ask me about my life. I'll answer within reason. My likes, how I came to like my sports teams, the movies I like, the books I read, the food I like, politics. I don't know if that's a great idea, but anything you want to talk about, you can interview me today. I want to welcome everybody watching this morning on our Facebook, our TGI Sports Talks Facebook feed, our YouTube feed, our Twitter feed, or X, excuse me. Sound a bit like Joe Biden most days. These last couple of weeks, I've got to get myself regenerated. Next week we'll be doing that. I'll talk about that in a minute. Also, everybody watching on Roku today on the Northeast Streaming Sports, actually the National Streaming Sports Network. You probably still find it there as Northeast Streaming Sports. Download that app, guys. A lot of great content being posted there daily. I mean, pretty much 24/7. These shows repeat a bunch of times a week and lots of other good stuff there. And Let's Talk Sports YouTube platform. Again, another place with tons of great content, great talent. So please do that. Quick shout out to Ralph Williams and RW Media. Ralph does some great stuff out there in Pittsburgh or down there in Pittsburgh, however you want to phrase it, depending on where you are listening. Specifically the Sports Corner with Smoke and Jim Frazier from 4 to 6 p.m. every Tuesday. And right here on Facebook, YouTube, and he's on a local TV channel in Pittsburgh as well. And Ralph does some other great stuff as well. Quick thanks to last week's guest, Jim Sundberg, former Rangers catcher, 6-time Gold Glove winner, 1985 World Series winner with the Royals. Had a great conversation. I mean, look, guys, the views have been so good. I don't know how good they'll be today for this show, but we'll find out. As you start interviewing me, put those tough, hard-hitting questions in the comments for Keith about his personal likes, dislikes, growing up, whatever you want to ask me. I'm a national figure now in his own mind. We'll be off next week for the holiday. We're going to take a little breather, so there'll be no college football huddle. That'll be on hiatus for the month of July, and then we'll see where we are in getting rebooted in early August. We'll take Friday off, the day after the holiday. Going to do some things with the family, and then we'll be back with the Sunday Stream of Consciousness on the 7th. We will have a Sunday Stream of Consciousness this week, and 3 o'clock, I will have a Major League Baseball update. We'll also have a quick conversation with Joe LaRusso and maybe a couple of his colleagues about the Jimmy Fund, the Ted Williams. Let me put this up here. Did I still have this up? I hope I do. I didn't share this. We'll get into your questions in a second. I'm trying to make sure the show lasts more than 10 minutes. Oh, my God. Let me put this up real quick. Entire screen. How come? There it is. We'll put this up here real quick. This is the Ted Williams Camp Alumni and Friends Jimmy Fund, July 13th, 2024 at noon. You can see all the details here. We're going to have Joe LaRusso and maybe a couple of his colleagues on to talk about this this great Jimmy Fund's been around for a long time, and it's a great I think a great cause. Let's see. Here's my Biden moment. So anyway, you guys got your run. Well, Brett Saberhagen on the 12th, by the way. And then we got to start booking because, well, I don't have anybody booked. I've got Dennis Rasmussen to reschedule. I've got Mike Bass, former Redskins cornerback. If you remember, Mike Bass ran back Garo Yepremian's Eric pass in the 1973 Super Bowl, the undefeated season for the Dolphins. He ran Redskins only score that day. Also met him personally. He was running a little cafe, I guess is the only thing I can really call it, outside a hotel in the Nassau, Bahamas, or not Nassau, Freeport, Bahamas in 1980 something, 4. And I met Mike Bass. He was running that place, Tent and Bar, and you cooked your own food. It was a very interesting little place. And we'll talk to Mike at some point. He did get back to me, and we'll be booking him either late July or early August. And we've got a bunch of other guys we're working on. It's just, a lot of work to nail these guys down. So anyway, I apologize for this morning's lack of guests, but to explain to you guys again, Dennis Rasmussen let me know during the evening some point. I got it when I got up this morning early, about 3 a.m. That he wouldn't be able to make it. So today's Ask Keith Anything You Want. Some of you guys know everything you want to know. You ask anything you want. Good morning, Rick Sherlock. Good to have you. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear it too. This is always the challenge with live guests, right? And sometimes in the past when I was doing this, really hammering this early on, if we had a canceled guest, I usually had something in the can because a lot of guys in the West Coast, sounds like we're going to get a mower. So when the mower comes by, I apologize. Let me make sure my background cancellation. Bear with me 1 second here. How do I do this? I can do it for the guests. How come I can't do it for me? Echo cancellation, reduce background noise. If this affects my audio at all, you guys let me know. Anyway, it happens. And a lot of times I'll have something in the can where we can run it at the last minute, but we haven't got to that point yet. Like Todd Marinovich and Danny Fuller, I don't know if you're with us yet. I'm going to reach out to Todd myself. I know you have, and I do appreciate your efforts. I am friends with him on Facebook, and I saw a post that I commented on this week or last week, and I'm going to reach out to him myself. That'll probably be one we have to do an interview, or I'm sorry, record the interview because he's in Hawaii. Yeah, politics. We got to be careful though. Facebook is so funny. The Nazis running Facebook. You got to be careful what you say. I don't know. I said something on one of the shows recently where, I was sharing it and Facebook gets back to me saying you're sharing things of, I mean, we get into a couple topics here. And I'm willing to touch on my politics in general. I'm not going to get into a lot of specifics, but, Facebook is, again, I'm sorry, they're just, probably shouldn't say they're a bunch of Nazis. I'll get banned, but whatever. You want to go there, you ask Keith anything you want. What do I have for breakfast? Coffee. Gleyber Torres is clearly a Major League Baseball player who has some clear flaws. As an objective coach, how would you address his flaws? An objective coach, all right. So I can't say I'd send him to Colorado, right? Listen, in my opinion, the Yankees have done Gleyber no favors. This is his downward turn started when they moved him to shortstop in the COVID season. He wasn't prepared to play there. It hurt him offensively. I don't think, and I would give Gleyber some tough love, which Aaron Boone now is doing a little bit. Again, one of my issues with Aaron Boone is you don't get tough love from Aaron Boone. Some guys need it. You get 25 guys on a roster. You can't treat them all the same. I know you want to, but Aaron Judge gets different treatment than Gleyber Torres. That's just the way it works. And when guys need a kick in the butt, they got to get it. And when they need to be called out for mental mistakes, which Gleyber has made a ton of through the years, base running, again, I've said for years that, his idea of running, his strategy for running the bases is run until you get tagged. I'd give him some tough love. He's got some talent. But we lose focus constantly. We saw it in the Met game the other night when the ball went through his legs when the infield's in. We see it when he doesn't run to first base now and again. He lets his defense affect his offense and vice versa. And he needs a tougher hand than what Aaron Boone is willing to give him. And now he's given it to him. And I think it's too late. I think it's too late for Gleyber in New York. And that is an objective view. I'd like it to be different. Gleyber had a ton of talent. One of the great moves. So there's a mower. I'm wondering if you guys can hear me. Hear it. I can bring you on now if you don't want to come on at, I don't know. We can probably do it now if we want, Joe. Let me get through some of these questions, and we'll bring Joe on for a little bit, and then we'll Joe, tell me, is that what you want to do? Because I don't want to do it now and I don't want to do it now and 3 o'clock. Not that, again, I have any, I'm trying to limit your time. You can't hear that mower. All right, so we'll do that. So let me get through a couple questions here, Joe. I'm gonna send you in your messenger. Bear with me a second here, guys. So we'll change. We're gonna do. Well, you guys can still ask my questions. We'll have Joe on for 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes, whatever, and then we'll go back to ask Keith whatever he wants. Joe is as I said, the one of the big parts of this Ted Williams alumni Jimmy Fund thing. So let me find my and I do have the how come? Oh, because I got to stop sharing. Didn't I stop sharing? Why can't I invite anybody? There we go, because my button's hidden. There we go. I'm gonna put this invite, so ignore the other one, Joe. And I see you there now, buddy. I'm gonna send you that. Have some patience in the green room. Have a little coffee and steak in there if you want, and we'll talk about the Jimmy Fund this morning. I think it's a great idea. I skipped some stuff here. But we'll go back once Joe's done. We'll stay for a little bit. Stay longer if I have to. The juice did not help Joe. Find a different supplier. Listen, we can get into this a little bit maybe after Joe LaRusso fills us in on the Jimmy Fund event. But last night was a disaster for our current president. Listen, I'm not a Trumpster. I am a conservative Republican who has, some more moderate ideas on social issues and such. But it was a disaster for Democrats. I see no way that they can't find somebody to step in and say, you need to step down. Brownie with the Lakers, listen, it's a crapshoot. LeBron wants to play with them again. We'll get into this more. I don't think there's any way to know what Bronny has and what Bronny doesn't have, and we can talk more about it after we bring Joe in. Rick, I know this has been a hot topic for you, and we'll certainly get into it. But listen, I don't know what Bronny's got to offer. I don't think it'll be much this year. I can tell you this: I wouldn't want to be J.J. Redick. It's going to be a tough situation for him. We'll certainly get into this in a lot more detail on Sunday's Stream of Consciousness show as well. Good morning, Steve Orpello out in Perth, New York. And Andy Pettit had confidence issues as a rookie. Joe Torre had a way with people. He had a way to kind of give you some tough love and say, sit down next to me here for a week or so. And, it helped. On a plane trip, Torre had him sit next to Sandy Koufax. And they talked the whole flight. The rest is history for Andy Pettit. That's great. I mean, Joe Torre was a great psychological motivator. I don't think Aaron Boone has that capability. I really don't. Those are Joe's. Good morning. We'll say good morning to Ralph real quick from RW Media. As I mentioned at the top, watch his stuff. A lot of great stuff, including the Sports Corner on Tuesdays from 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern. Your weekly question, who did I play with? I'll get back to this. Rick, I like that. Since this is the interview for me, which we'll get back to after Joe's on, I will interview that. You know a lot of the answers probably, though. That's the thing. Anyway, with that, let me bring in Joe LaRusso. How you doing, Joe?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing very well. I'm glad you popped in this morning because I was actually, it's funny. I was going to message you after I got the message from Dennis that he wouldn't be able to make it. And I thought, oh, it's kind of short notice to switch him up now. So I'm glad we're in and wanted to come on now. And real quick, I want to put up I'll put this up again a couple times, and I've got it posted to the TGI Sports Talk page, and I'll continue to do that through the event running. Joe, give us a little of your background and how you got involved here with the Jimmy Fund and Ted Williams in general.
Yeah, Keith. I was a coach at his baseball camp. The camp ran from 1959 to 1986, and it closed its doors in '86. And I coached the last 5 years for Ted, and we had coaches and we had kids that come from all over the world at this camp. The camp is located in Lakeville, Mass, which
Yeah.
we'll be having the Jimmy Fund benefit. We've been running Jimmy Fund benefits for approximately 12 years now, and we raised a significant amount of money for the Jimmy Fund. This year,
Yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead.
we're going to be having a lot of silent auction items. We also have a luncheon being provided by Boston Tavern, and I can name a lot of the things that we have, for folks to register. We do have New York Yankee tickets at Fenway Park. Okay, I know you're a New Yorker, Keith.
I'm a New York Yankee fan as well, but not.
So we have 4 tickets on July 27th at Fenway Park. 4 tickets. We're not auctioning those. Just to register by July 10th, you'll have a chance to win those 4 tickets. Yankees Red Sox on July 27th.
Cool.
So,
listen, the Jimmy Fund's been around for decades and decades.
yes.
If I'm not mistaken, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but Ted Williams was a big part of the Jimmy Fund from right through his playing career, correct?
Yes, he was. He was actually Ted Williams was one of the founding fathers of the Jimmy Fund.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Okay, and he, I remember vividly that Ted used to go down to the Jimmy Fund. He went to the Jimmy Fund a lot during his playing days, and I'll give you a little story. Ted told me this. He said to me back in the day at the camp. Tom Yawkey went to him, who was the former owner of the Red Sox. Tom Yawkey went to Ted, and he said to him, "Well, my your contract's up, Ted." And Ted said to Ted Williams this. So Ted Williams said, "Really?" He goes, "Yes, it is. It's up, and we have to renew your contract." So Ted, being the guy he was, he said to Tom Yawkey, "I want half that my salary to go to the Jimmy Fund." And that's how the official charity started of the Boston Red Sox.
What and tell us a little bit about the Jimmy Fund in general and what the fundraising goes to what specific causes. Yeah.
The fundraising money goes towards research for cancer in children and adults.
Yeah.
All right. And I mean, it goes into a variety of things of cancer research, which comprises of being able to build hospitals, being able to staff hospitals at the Jimmy Fund, and actually Bob Kraft, when Bob Kraft and at the Patriot, he put a Jimmy Fund hospital at Gillette Patriot Place.
Oh, that's
Dana
cool.
Fiber Hospital. And I tell you, a lot of people, in Massachusetts, in New England, has basically stepped up to the plate, for cancer. And we've all had people that have had cancer some have succumbed to cancer, some have survived.
Yeah.
But all those dollars that are donated every year goes to valuable research to help children and to help adults fight cancer. And Ted was a big part of that back in the day when he went over to the Jimmy Fund.
Well,
Yeah, I can give you stories all day.
he had a lot of. Did he get a lot of other athletes in Boston involved? I know a lot of other athletes in Boston were big into the Jimmy Fund.
Yep.
Give us some of those people.
Yes, we're anticipating to have some of those athletes come to our event. Former Red Sox players. We have Kali Skremski, Louis Tiant, Bill Lee, Jim Lomborg, who else? Oh, Rico Petrocelli.
Rico.
And others. Okay, I got a list, a host of people that they're expected to be there. They were sent invitations, and we're hoping that they come. We actually have baseballs for people if they want a ball signed by one of the players. They can do that, and it's going to be a great event. I could tell you some of the silent auction items we do have.
Yeah, sure do.
All right, we have Johnny Damon, who was a Yankee, so autographed baseball. All right, Louis Tiant, Jim Lomborg, and I'm just trying to get these at the top of my head. Let me see. Former Red Sox player, and I can't think of his name. I'd have to go to my page. Let me go to my page. I can tell you that.
Sure. By the way, Damon was a former Yankee, and I'd like to think that Rico and Yaz should have been Yankees too, but that's another long story.
Right. Right. But I mean, we just have multiple things that people can bid on, and it's a silent auction. The luncheon is being provided by Boston Tavern, and if you register by the 10th of July, like I said, we can win those tickets for the Yankees versus Red Sox at Fenway Park, which they're about $150 value a piece. Okay, and I'm hoping by doing this that we get people to come out.
If people
support the Jimmy Fund Dana-Farber Cancer Institute.
Yeah, if people can't attend, are they able to donate online or even bid on these things? Bid on the silent auction? Yeah.
Yes. If they go to the Eventbrite link, they can register adults or children. Children and adults are welcome. And there's also a link on there if you want to donate dollars to the Jimmy Fund when you go on the Eventbrite link. As far as doing it online, whatever items that we have left over that people don't bid on, we will put those online up here on Facebook so that people can bid on those items online.
Great stuff. A great event for sure, and for a great cause, guys. I know that I've known about the Jimmy Fund for a long time. It being the Yankee Red Sox rivalry and following baseball, the Jimmy Fund shouldn't be a foreign concept to anybody who really follows baseball here in the East, because it's been so prominent for, like I said, almost 7 decades, probably, right?
Yeah, and Keith, we also have things too for families. Silent auction items for families. We have bowling parties. We have kids activity packages. We have a Boston Italian food tour of the North End of Boston.
Oh, that's cool.
We have also, for people that love golf, we have golf packages too. Okay. So, like I said, we got much more. and it's still coming in. Stuff is still coming in. And we will have all that. All you have to be is present and put your name down and how much you will be bidding for those items. And we will get those if you don't get outbid. The event's going to run from noon to 4 o'clock at the camp. Okay?
Excellent. Excellent. Well, we'll keep posting this, and I will continue to post it because I'll post this interview too a few times, probably more than a few times before the 13th, and I'll continue to share this to my page periodically or maybe even daily. Until then, if there's any links you want me to post with it, certainly send me those. Tell us. Go ahead.
Okay, Keith, I could tell you this. If you go on, I post all the information up on Ted Williams alumni camp link here on Facebook. Everything is posted right there.
Excellent.
So if you go to that, anybody can go to that link and they can read all the things that will be posted on there.
Well, I'll go there.
That would be great, Keith.
Is the information all shareable from the page? I can just share it from that page to my page. Yeah, that'll take them right to you. That'll be the best way to go. Before I let you go, I do want to tell us a little bit about. Tell us a little bit about how you got involved with Ted and your thoughts about Ted. He's a great ball player. I mean, obviously we know that, but Ted Williams, the person too.
Yep. Yes. Well, I'll tell you, back in the day, I started at the baseball camp, and as a kid in 1975. And in 75, I went through the program, and playing at the camp. And I played for 5 years. I was also on the varsity baseball team at the camp, which we traveled around New England to play teams. And after 5 years, I was asked by the owner, and there were 4 owners at Ted Williams School. One name was Ernie Cassidy. Another guy's name was Al Cassidy. Another guy was Ted Williams. Those 3 were the primary owners of the baseball camp.
Mm-hmm.
And I was asked to get onto the coaching staff. And I coached for 5 years. The last 5 years of the camp, from 1981 to 1986 when the camp closed. And I tell you, Ted was fabulous. He used to go and sit on the bench with us. That's the kind of person he was. He sat on the bench with us, and he'd tell us stories. We had lunch with him. He was a great guy. And couple of more silent auction items that I neglected to talk about.
Sure.
Those are, the Worcester Red Sox. Worcester Red Sox are the AAA club of the Boston Red Sox.
I thought they were in Pawtucket. They moved from Pawtucket, did they? I didn't even know that.
Well, they did, but 2 years ago they moved. Yes, they were. 2 years ago or 3 years ago, they moved to Worcester.
Okay.
All right, and we have tickets for admission for our silent auction. We have 6 tickets, 2, a pair or 2 that a season ticket holder gave me, 2 tickets, and he'll be at the event. And the Worcester Red Sox just yesterday, they emailed me 4 more tickets for games at their park in Worcester.
Cool.
And that's for general admission. Okay, for any game of the person's choice. And we'll have that for the silent auction as well.
A lot of great stuff. Listen, anybody who does this and puts the time at the kind of time in that people like yourself do, Joe, it's commendable. The selflessness of putting yourself out there and raising money for kids and adults that might otherwise have no other options. I think that's certainly something that we could all aspire to.
Well, Keith, right, and I'll tell you this too. I mean, he was we're trying to continue the legacy of Ted Williams, by doing these things, all the alumni, because it's something that I know he'd be looking down at us and saying, "You guys are doing a hell of a job." I know he would say that, and I'll tell you, Keith, I tell you, cancer is a big, big problem in the whole country. And Dana Fiber, Jimmy Fund, they help a lot of people. All right. I've gone down personally to the Dana Fiber and walked through the hall. Just saw people there that, are getting help. And I tell you, that is so enriching and and a great thing that they do. Those people that run that, they're doing a fabulous job. And I tell you, and I'll talk about Bob Kraft. Bob Kraft, right, the New England Patriots owner, has been tremendous in helping by putting a hospital at Patriot Place, a Dana Fiber hospital. And if you ever have a chance to go to see the Patriots play in New England,
I've been there many times.
Go through that hospital because it would open up your eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and go into Boston too as well. It will open up your eyes because I have, and I tell you, the support has been tremendous, and I can't tell you how much the Jimmy Fund appreciates what I do and what everybody does, helping to raise dollars for Dana Fiber.
Well, those of us and everybody gets touched by cancer in some way, whether it's yourself, your family, your friends. Everybody's going to get touched by this, and it's important that people like yourself stay involved in doing the things that you do. And I appreciate you coming on today and talking with us for a little bit. I will continue to push this, and I'll find your Facebook page link and share that. As I said, to the TGI Sports Talk page, and we'll continue to promote this for the next couple of weeks for you.
Hi, Keith. We appreciate that. And again, July 10th to get those Yankee tickets.
Absolutely. I can't wait to go to Boston in my Yankee gear.
Yeah, you'll be fine. You'll be welcome.
I've been there many times in my gear, and it's been pretty
Don't
much.
Worry, you'll be welcome, Keith.
There's some great bars around Fenway, so we'll have a great time. So, Joe, thanks again, and I appreciate your support for the show, and we'll continue to support you. So, just let me know what I can do.
Appreciate it.
Have a great day. Bye-bye. So, guys, check that out. We appreciate Joe coming in today, and again, check out the Jimmy Fund. Check out the link I'll put on TGI Sports Talk. And obviously, if you're around or can take a ride, I'm thinking about taking a ride out there that day. Still trying to get clearance for my wife on the calendar. But I don't think it's too long a ride, actually, from the Albany area out there. So we'll have some good fun. And actually, John Gonzalez is putting up and I know John put this post up the other day. He had a friend who passed away from cancer, and we certainly send you our best wishes and his family, John. It's always a sad thing. Lost a few friends of my own. It touches us all. So, again, they're doing great work with the Jimmy Fund, and I hope they continue. I know they'll continue to do that, and I'm happy to help them in any way. Again, Jimmy Fund's been around for decades. This is a new thing. This is 2024, at least the middle 50s. So if it's not 70 years, it's probably 65. So, again, we're glad Joe could pop in today and help fill some time here. Not just fill time; it's important information. So, where's my other? What did I do with my other link? Oh, yeah. So again, to remind you guys that are just popping in, I know a lot of times 9:30 we get an extra bump to the crowd for the one-on-one interview show. Dennis Rasmussen had a last-minute cancellation. I didn't know about it until this morning. So we just had Joe LaRusso to talk about the Ted Williams baseball camp alumni and friends Jimmy Fund. So we'll check that out. And it's Ask Keith Anything You Want Day. And we've had a few conversation pieces come up already. So again, as I said, you can ask Keith anything you like for the next 30 minutes or so. I doubt we'll go long today. The interviews have been going about an hour and a half. I'm surprised this has gone this long. Maybe if Joe didn't come in, we'd have been done after 10 minutes. But likes, dislikes, I'll go back to where I started. Bronny, I'm going to get on. We're going to talk more about Bronny. I'll try to keep this more about Keith, right? So Keith's politics, again, I'm not a Democrat in any way, shape, or form. I really felt bad for Joe last night, and I think somebody in the Democratic Party's got to step up and ask him to step aside. Maybe there's nobody strong enough to do that. I would hope his wife was watching. I know she's watching, and she will say, Joe, we can't do this. So anyway, hopefully that will be what happens. Rick had asked, I see one for Chris I'm going to really have a fun with. Rick's weekly question for all my guests, basically. Who's the craziest teammates I played with? Well, Scotty Jackson had to be this craziest. And I love Scotty. He's just, we played in high school. We played in college. We played in semi-pro. We played fast pitch softball after that. Scott was just as crazy can be. And we're still friends today. That's the thing about going to a small school like we went to, Rick. You're still in touch with a lot of the people that you were in touch with then. And it's a lot of fun. We didn't just have friends in our own grade, as you know, you went 1 or 2 years before, 1 or 2 years after, and all those classes were pretty close. And even people, as we've grown older, you get tighter with other people, yourself and Kenny, for instance. You reconnected with through this show, which has been a blessing. And Kenny, I played ball with as well, but later in life. So really good stuff. What else you got here for me? Who did not reach their potential? That's my question. I didn't reach my potential is what I'll tell you. How about that? That's a tough question, man. It's funny. I mean, there's guys that were really good playing ball with. Did we reach the guys on our team? Probably Mike Stellato was probably the best athlete that I played with, and would have had a chance. He got to try out with the Blue Jays, but I know Bill Gutowski thinks Roger Gifford ruined his career, but his chances at a Major League Baseball career. But Billy, if you're watching, which I know is unlikely due to circumstances, but we got to be realistic in life. So I'll count myself as the one who didn't reach their potential, at least as a ball player. I think I finally, at 64 years old, reached my potential as a person. How about that? Who got the most out of their talent? Again, I'd like to pat myself on the back, but I won't, because I was not as athletic as other people, man. I had to work hard. I've talked about this on the show about working hard. And when I was a young kid, I wasn't, just a natural athlete. I had to make myself better. But so I'm proud of the fact that I did that. But as far as other people who got the most out of their potential, let's see, who can I? Scotty was one of those guys for sure. Rich Edwards, Tim Ostrowski could just get out of sleeping for a week and hit a line drive. And best coach is easy. Roger Gifford. Roger was just a great mentor. He knew about the game. He knew when to kick us in the ass, and he knew when to pat us on the back. I can remember being pulled off infield practice before a game more than once because we sucked, and we came out and played great games. He knew how to motivate, and he knew the game, and I'm still in touch with Roger today, from time to time anyway. Chris, pineapple on pizza? No. I don't understand it. Pizza is for cheese, sausage, mushrooms, maybe meatball, maybe. Put an onion on there. I'm okay. Pineapple? No. Now my stepson just loves it. He's the only one in the family, I think, that loves it. And maybe his sister a little bit, but or her husband. I think somebody else does. So when we're all together, we have to get a pineapple pizza. Well, I know his girlfriend does. No, but you just can't do it. You cannot do it. Now, speaking of pineapple, my granddaughter, who spent a lot of time here this week, as my wife has been watching her while I was working, and I would just go up and have some fun and then come back and leave the hard work to her. But I was eating lunch yesterday, and she's eating all of my lunch, so I really didn't get anything, except afterwards she wanted pineapple and pickle. So I'm eating pineapple and pickle together, and it's not the fun combination it sounds like, right? So, Bronny James is a marketing dream, but not much of a player. And again, we're going to get into this more Sunday, John. I was trying to get into all those great Keith Engle questions I know you guys have, because I'm such a well-known personality today. Everybody wants to know about my personal life. Just kidding. We're going to get into this probably a lot more on Sunday, but look at LeBron. I don't have the despise for LeBron that a lot of people have. I mean, LeBron has gone off the rails a little bit the last 8-9 years. First part of his career, really got it. Second part, he didn't. I think all in all, I think he loves his kids and he wants what's best for them. But, I talked about this when he was fighting Bronny's fights for him early in the year in the media and other places. If he was going to counsel Bronny, he should have counseled him to go back to school for at least a year. We don't know what Bronny is as a player. That's my point. He may not be much of a player. We have no way to know. You can't look at his stats at Cal or USC last year and say he can't play. You see a lot of guys drafted from Europe with numbers similar to this. And he only played half a season, if that, and half of that he was getting in basketball shape and learning the offense. He had a serious heart condition. So I don't think we have any idea what Bronny's going to be as a player. Again, this is, I don't disagree. I mean, you don't trade 5 number 1 picks. Is it 5 or 4? 4 or 5, whatever it is. Either number is high for a guy who's not a superstar. But Bridges, by the way, is a really good player that's going to fit this team wonderfully. I'm okay with this trade because this team's in win now mode. And I like what they did in the draft last night. I like Kolek a lot. The kid from France that they drafted with the number 1 pick is another wing. And Bridges, OG coming back is huge. This is all about getting better against the Celtics, matching up with the Celtics and their wings and their versatility. This team is going to be as versatile as any in basketball. And if OG stays healthy, which is important, and Randall can adjust to a less prominent role, I think this team is built to win now. That's why I'm not worried about the draft picks. I would be drafting in the 30s anyway, maybe the next 4 years, 5 years. It's not that big a deal to me. Draft picks in the NBA, other places, the NFL, they're more important in my mind. And I think this whole Villanova experience with the Knicks, I wonder if other teams try to copy it later on, where you put these guys together and they have this chemistry. This team, when healthy, is very, very good. They move the basketball. They're fun to watch. They play defense. I'm excited. I will agree here. As I said, my politics are what they are. A very conservative Republican with moderate views on some social issues, which some Republicans think I can't have, but yes, I can. I'm an independent thinking man. But most things in life, I'm very, very conservative on. But outside of that, just take politics out of the equation. Joe Biden can't be president of this country for another 4 years. What you saw last night was sad. And again, both of them, to be honest, listen, when I say that I'm a Republican, I'm not a Trumpster either, by the way. What I saw last night was 2 guys saying, I know you are, but what am I, for an hour and a half? Very little substance. There were lies told on both sides. the Biden side had him prompted to talk about Charlottesville, which was taken totally out of context. Nobody's ever talked about the entire remarks he gave that day. They take certain remarks out to make him look like a white supremacist, which isn't the fact. Joe likes to get mad about remarks supposedly Trump has made about military people, and again, taken out of context. He likes to do that so he can get mad about, his late son, and, he takes everything personally. And Joe thinks that anger thing, I think, helps him, those flashes. But what I saw last night, forget the politics again. But that man who, listen, if you want to vote for the better person, vote for Joe Biden if he wasn't, in the condition that he's in cognitively. I'm not saying Joe Biden is not a better human being than Donald Trump, but most likely he is 10 times the person Donald Trump is. But, to me, I don't really care about the person that much. I do to a certain extent, but I care about how I'm affected personally. I know those 4 years were very good for me, and these last 4 are not so much. Not complaining. I'm not living at Skid Row here, but in the USA, it's not. Is it not the law every state for breweries to put in alcohol percentages on the label? Many of the craft breweries don't. It used to be, and I do think the craft breweries might have some special exemption there. But I was in the beer business for a long time before I've done what I've done now for 22 years. And yes, every in fact, you go to bars or breweries, right? I go to brew pubs a lot, and they list right on the menus what the alcohol content is. So maybe that's how they get around it. It's listed on the menus instead of on the bottles. I don't know. But there's some heavy duty stuff. I mean, I'll go out and drink something with 12% alcohol, man. That stuff knock you on your ass. And the craft breweries kind of get around, and as you say, lots of high. Not all of them. I mean, I drink some craft brews that are 5 or 6% is higher than, say, Coors Light. Used to be the Canadian beers, Molson Bador, for instance, back in my early days, a lot of people would buy because it had higher alcohol content. The Budweiser that you would buy here in the States, if you bought in Canada, would have a higher alcohol content. But since the craft breweries have gotten so popular, I think they've gotten around a lot of that stuff. And as a guy who likes craft brews a lot, and I do check the alcohol content because I want to know before, if I have 2 beers that are 5% alcohol and 2 beers that are 10, well, that's a big difference, I have to have a ride if I'm drinking something that's, high test. When you're hungry, will you eat anything? What? You have cameras in my house? Pretty much. The only thing I don't eat, I have a couple things. I won't eat beets, and I won't eat fish. I eat shrimp. I don't eat any other fish, especially swimmers on pizza. Ugh. But otherwise, I mean, you put it in front of me, I'm going to eat it, man. I'm a stress eater too. I mean, one of the reasons I can't freaking lose weight like I'd like to, I go up and down 10, 15 pounds, and I gain it all back in a month. I'm down about 8 right now, but I can put it back on over the weekend. I'm a stress eater. Nighttime, my wife goes to bed. I'm like, well, I got to stuff my face with something while I watch the end of the ball game or some YouTube stuff. Or yeah. So yes, I'll eat just about anything except beets and fish. If it's in the fridge, it's fair game. Don't buy ice cream. I tell my wife, don't buy Doritos. Don't buy ice cream because if they're not here, I can't eat them. If they are here, I'll eat the whole thing. Family size serving of Doritos is a single size serving for me. It's like the Eagles and Georgia players. I'll talk about the Knicks and Villanova. Yeah, well, that's a great point. Maybe the Eagles were out in front of this too. It's a little harder in football, and I guess I was referring basically to basketball, but it could apply to other sports for sure. You know, the basketball tried the big three, and that faded out. Maybe this will be the new trend. If you got, again, how many teams are going to be able to, you know, Villanova put a lot of talent into the NBA in those years. And there's other programs that are. Danny Fuller. I did say you could ask any question. Did you ask a question before? What did you say up here, Danny? Did I blow past it? I thought I saw something from you. Wait, didn't you put something else up there? Where are you, Danny? Maybe not. Maybe I'm dreaming. Good grief. Anyway, Danny's got today, of all days, in my almost 64 years of life, we're there together. It's a sad day to be a Fakers fan, a once proud franchise out of Minneapolis, Minnesota. LA is now Disneyland. Has been for a couple of years. It's a proud franchise. This is going to be very tough. I got to tell you. And we're going to talk. Well, I know we'll get into this in much greater detail on Sunday. I got to be careful with that comment, Steve, but I might. I already said it, didn't I? Both sides lied. Anyway, back to Danny's comment. We're going to get into this. I wouldn't want to be JJ Redick. This is a lose-lose situation, as I said earlier on the Mac and Jack show. I think you were there, Danny. And if I'm JJ Redick, I'm like, oh man. But look, this is all about, again. And Jack talked about how he thought LeBron was a good dad, which, again, he probably is. The kids aren't going to jail. They're not knifing people. They're not doing drugs, as far as we know. But I think a good dad would have counseled and he said it's all about his kids all the time. Well, this isn't about his kids. This is about LeBron, right? A good dad would say, go back to school, Bronny, get a little seasoning. You didn't play hardly at all. You're not ready for the NBA. He's going to sit. And if he doesn't sit, it's going to be bad for the team. And if LeBron pushes that issue, not good. So again, this wasn't about LeBron. This was about LeBron. I'll put it up. Look, there's lies on both sides. I just told you two huge lies that were told on the other side. Does Trump, and again, so is Joe Biden, by the way. Thank God he didn't talk about his, uncle that was eaten by cannibals last night, or schools he never went to. I mean, Trump what's the word I'm looking for? Not elaborates. He greatly enhances his stories. I get it. Listen, the funniest moment last night, the funniest moment was when they were asked about their age and their ability to govern the country, which, by the way, Trump answered the question. Biden didn't. Trump talked about taking cognitive tests. Maybe he didn't. Maybe lied about it. Whatever. If they call him out, he'll probably take it. But Joe won't. But they got talking about golf. and Biden talked about how he was an 8 handicap. They were yelling at each other. I thought the microphones were supposed to be off, but at that moment, I think they were both on. Biden said, I'll play in golf, but only if you carry your own bag. How the hell is Joe going to carry his own bag? Oh, my God. You like the future? A guy I like for the future is Josh Hawley. Catching me off guard here, John. Who the hell's Josh Hawley? Hold on a second. Let me get the search. I feel like I know the name. I don't know why. But we've been on different stuff here today, so. Oh, Josh Hawley. You're talking about politics still. I like Josh Hawley a little bit. I mean, there's some guys in my party I wish were running. I would prefer DeSantis be there. Nikki Haley was my candidate. I wasn't a Trump guy in 2016. I liked John. Oh God, who's the former Ohio governor? Can't remember his name now. He was my guy. They had no shot, right? And I get scared because what are choices going to be in 4 years? Listen, Democrats could put somebody up moderate that I could consider. Joe Manchin is a guy that I could have considered voting for. He's left the Democratic Party now. He's an independent. I could have voted for Joe Manchin. He's not a young guy. Youngest guy in his race. The youth candidate is a 70-year-old guy with a worm in his head. Would you got to a Larry Cable? I have not. Would I go to it? Sure, I would go to a Larry the Cable Guy show. I think he's funny. Those guys on the Blue Collar Comedy Tour were hilarious. I still watch those videos today. There's a great video of them sitting on a porch talking about the size of the hedges, the size of the porch, and the hedges making it look smaller, bigger. And if you haven't seen it, it's not about decks and hedges. It's so funny. But I loved all those guys. Bill Engvall is one of my favorite comedians. I love comedians. There's very few that I don't like, that I've seen anyway, in person. I mean, but the Blue Collar Comedy Tour was just great. I would absolutely go to see Larry the Cable Guy. Bronny shirts, I don't disagree with that. But the marketing will be huge, and I'm sure it could be, Bronny. It could be the LeBron family is all gonna be. Yes, I got that now. I thought we were talking about sports at the time. Sorry, I forgot we had a little political talk here today. But I do. I don't know. I guess Hawley's a guy. I got to look a little more into him and see whether he's somebody that is moderate enough for me. This is my problem, is that, the progressives have taken over that party so much that there's no moderates. Listen, I'm a very conservative guy, but I can vote for a moderate. I voted twice for Bill Clinton. He's a moderate. The man's not a liberal. Never was. Maybe more so after he retired and his wife got more control over him. But as I look him up now, there's an article. The very first article I see is about, total triumph for Trump. Tomorrow, the clamor to replace Biden will be deafening. I see that as a very distinct possibility, by the way. Both politicians lied and made 5-year-olds. Well, they made 5-year-olds look more intelligent, independent. You're an independent. I'm probably more of a libertarian than I am a conservative in a lot of ways too. I don't want government out of my life, and give me my money. I can tell you that if demos don't make a ticket change fast, I agree 100%. And the independents like yourself are going to be a huge part of making this decision, because you're not changing. The Trump people's minds are never going to get changed. Again, if you put up the right candidate on the other side, I could be moved off of my party. I'm not a partisan voter. I vote for the person I think will be best for me and my family. My family doesn't always agree with that, but so we'll see. I mean, I'm not confident that even if they take Biden off the ticket, there's going to be somebody that I can stomach. But we'll see. It should be fun. We'll see if this show doesn't get banned. This is very mild stuff too, right? And this is the kind of thing that Facebook will find something that I said or something I posted that will, be offensive to someone. Want to know if oh god, I just read launch angle and my head explodes. Want to know if launch angle swinging is taught in the minors or if the player's choice. I certainly don't remember any old baseball cards with golf angle swings. And listen, it's funny. We were just talking about Ted Williams, and Ted Williams did promote players taking a little bit of a upward angle on their swing. But nobody talked about launch angles as per se. And is it taught? Yes. There was a big, and it's before you were following me, Chris, but I went into this in great detail last summer when it was talked about that the Yankees are teaching everybody in the low minors about launch angle and exit velocity. Nothing to do with bat on the ball, hit the ball the other way, fundamental baseball, situational hitting. We don't talk about any of that. All we teach is launch angles and exit velocity. So, yes, it's being taught in the minors. And if the Yankees are doing it, damn well everybody else is. I could care less about exit velocity. Man, right? So, anyway. You guys learned much about Keith today, and probably not too much more. I mean, probably the stuff I've talked about is pretty evident in little passive-aggressive comments I'll make on the Sunday show. Politically, I am very conservative, but there doesn't mean I can't vote for a Democrat. I would have voted for Joe Manchin most likely if he'd run a third-party candidacy, if he'd waited around. And I guess the Dems could still make him, even though he's left the party, he's an independent now. There's nothing keeping the Democrats if Biden gets somehow pushed aside. Again, he's got to be willing. These delegates are his. So if he doesn't release them, or I guess, again, it's not like, to me, as far as I know, these guys are bound to him in the first ballot. They can't change their mind unless he releases the delegates. It's not like open conventions from years ago. I wish it was. If there were still open conventions, this thing would be probably a no-brainer. It's still a no-brainer. Problem is, who do you put there that, if you're a Democrat, and maybe Steve, you are, or just hate Trump, I don't know which, that either's possible or both. Who would you want to see there? I don't want to. I can't think of a person, high-profile guy, a person on the Democratic side that I could pull the trigger for that they're likely to put up there. Gavin Newsom, I'm not voting for him. Again, through the years, there have been Democrats. I voted twice for Bill Clinton. There was Zell Miller, if you remember Zell Miller from Georgia, senator from Georgia, another guy that I could have voted for on the Democratic side. Joe Manchin's another guy, but there's very few and far between guys that I could consider. Maybe this guy that John brings up, Josh Hawley, will get some play. I've got to look into him a little bit more to see where he stands on certain things, and we'll consider that. So, anyway, what else you got for Keith? Likes and dislikes? No pizza, no pineapple on pizza. Yes, he'll eat anything in sight. Yes, he'll go to Larry the Cable Guy. No, he won't vote Democrat. Unless you put somebody up there. I would have voted for Clinton a third time, by the way. Only time I ever voted Democrat in my entire life. I'm a Reagan Democrat, if you will. If you remember, Reagan was a Democrat until 1968. And he's famous for saying he didn't leave his party. His party left him. So it's basically me. As a younger man, I was a registered Democrat, and I had never voted for a Democrat until Bill Clinton. I became a Republican during the Reagan administration. So, my major in college, beer, parties. No, I was a business economics major. Business was my major. Unfortunately, it became my minor. We had a lot of fun going to Hudson Valley. A lot of fun things happen here at Hudson Valley Community College. We just lost their president to a sexual harassment. Try to be quiet. That's probably what got me in trouble the other night, Rick. Sexual harassment charge. But we had fun. We had so much fun. All of ours first time away from home. I lived with Richie Edwards, and Scott Jackson, Darren Ryan. We had an apartment, and boy, we had a lot of fun. Did we need to live away from home at that point in time? I mean, it's a 40-minute ride to school, but we had a lot of fun. Our first time away from home, I think it was a great experience for all of us. And I'm a person who thinks all of my experiences in life, both good and bad, have led me to where I am today. And I hope that's a good place. I feel like it's a good place. I don't regret things that have happened, things that I may have done that were less than admirable, if you will. But all those things made me the person I am today. And not everybody likes me, and I'm okay with that. But I'm comfortable with me. Very comfortable with me. What do I do now for work, that is? For the last 22 years, I've worked for a company called MDF Commerce with a local, they're out of Montreal. They do business, e-commerce business all over the world. We have offices in China, the Ukraine, Philippines, Canada, U.S. I'm missing some places probably around the globe. We do all kinds of different kinds of e-commerce business. I'm the sales and retention manager for one of the LOBs that we sell government contracting opportunities to the government. To the private sector. We go out and find those bidding opportunities for the private sector, so they don't have to look for them. Been working from home since 2020 when COVID hit. I go to the office, I don't know, once a week. Can you hear the weed whacker going now? I should be happy they're here. They haven't been here in 2 weeks. So I'll go to the office once or twice a month, basically. I'm in and out now. Check mail, check a few other things that need to be looked at. And so that's that. For how much longer? We'll see. Oh boy, that's a crew. Yes, that was a crew. Let me tell you, jeepers creepers. We had some parties. The Colonials one time, Rick. I don't know if you were still playing or not. I would think you were. Your brother Bob was. Johnny was. You guys, the Colonials had played up in Hudson Falls. I believe it was Hudson Falls. And we went up to the game, and we had a party back at our apartment, and a lot of those guys came, including a bunch of other people from the Perth, Amsterdam area, or Gloversville area. Mike Kreisel threatened to run Darren through with a butter knife as Scott egged him on. It's funny today. At the time, it probably wasn't funny. The guys across the hall from us were such pot and hash heads, man. They were stoned all the time. Funny guys. Remember going to one of their parents owned a funeral home in Hoosick Falls. We would spend a weekend there. Hung around with some of his buddies. Oh my God. We went across, we went out drinking, and it was right on the Vermont border where they were. And, when it got closing time here in New York, we went to Vermont because they were open for 2 more hours. And then they all pass out. Darren, Scott, they all pass out. And so does Kink, our buddy. And I'm stuck with all these younger friends of his who are berating my friends who have passed out at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm nearly getting in a fight with like And at the time, I weigh about 180 pounds. Oh, my God. We had a lot of fun, Rick. I can tell you that for sure. I don't know if you're on a team then or not, but. So some fun Keith Engle facts. Marriages that didn't work. You know, I talk about things that made my life what they are. Marriages that didn't work out. I wouldn't be with my wife now if those had. And that probably would be a bad thing. I probably would have stayed someplace I shouldn't have stayed. And that's why I don't regret things, good and bad. And nobody should regret things. And a lot of bad things happen to people. We just talked about cancer. We just talked about a lot of other things. I know some of you have had their challenges. Steve, God bless you. You've had your challenges. And, you know, I like to believe God doesn't give us more than what we can handle. You know, it's a cliche, and it's tough for a lot of people. I get it. And I'm a true believer in the things that have happened to me in my life have made me a better person, and that type of thing. What year? That would have been probably 78. You guys played in the summer, right? So it probably would have been probably the summer of 78, I'm guessing. We graduated 78 in June. Hard to believe we would have had that. We got that apartment very shortly thereafter. I guess it could have been 79, second year there. But I left there too in 79, middle of 79 probably, and came back and finished up at FMCC. I was never going to get anywhere living like that. It was fun. You know, people, I don't know why I'm still talking. It's already 10 after 12. You guys are probably tired of talking to me, but people always wonder how I can be a Yankee and a Patriot fan. And when I was a kid, Yankees were terrible. Everybody's a Met fan. They just won a World Series in 1969, right? Everybody's a Met fan. And everybody was a Giant fan because their dads were, or they were a Jet fan because they just won a Super Bowl. I was a bit of a nonconformist, and I didn't really root for anybody. Buffalo a little bit. But in 1970, 71, maybe 71, a friend of mine, Ron Papernak, who some of you Perth guys might remember, I talked when I was out with Rich Edwards a couple Fridays ago. We were talking about Ronnie, who sadly passed away at 50. Good guy. Probably my best friend to a certain point till he moved to Scully, and we were still close, but we kind of drifted apart a bit. That is one of my bigger regrets in life. Things like that. But what was I talking about? Oh, I went to his dad, a friend of his dad, and Ronnie and myself, and I think this other guy's son went to a Patriots game. And I became a Patriot fan. They were horrible, by the way, horrendous. And we had season tickets through the 80s. Mark Mathewson, myself, and we had 4 tickets. We'd always take 2 people with us. Rick, your brother Bob, and Johnny went with us a couple of times. Some very memorable trips, I can tell you. Johnny forgot the beef one time. He was bringing his venison to cook and forgot it. So we had all the fixings, but we had no meat. We were cutting out pictures of hamburgers and putting them on the grill. It was very funny. And your brother Bob dropped his. It was like the wind chill was about 15 below zero that day, and your brother Bob dropped his gloves in the one of the porta potties and had to make a very tough decision. I don't know if you remember that story. You could ask him. He made the right decision because it was cold, so you can imagine what he did. You were probably there. Oh man, yeah, we were in that Albany. We weren't allowed up there. They're too smart for us. So I thought you were still playing then. Mets are playing great ball, Steve. Kicked the Yankees' ass. We'll get into that this weekend. Again, I'll get into that this afternoon, actually, on the Major League Baseball update. Now we'll have a little more time. I was going to have Joe on it. Not that this was something I wanted to promote for them, and we were going to do it this afternoon, and now we got it done today, so we'll spend the hour on baseball, and there's lots to talk about because JB will be all over me because the Yankees are struggling, and I'm not happy. I said this team had flaws, and they're all showing up right now. But the Mets are playing good baseball. Problem is they're playing, in maybe one of the toughest divisions of baseball, and they buried themselves early. So I can't see the Mets. We'll talk about it at 3:00, but I can't see the Mets really getting back into this. I'll look at it a little closer and we'll talk about it. But in any event, I know. Listen, guys, it's been a little bit of a different show, and I guess maybe we'll do this when I do have a cancellation. We'll just come on and ask Keith whatever you want. We got to do a little bit of everything today. We'll see if Facebook lets me stay on. I don't think we got too controversial. But I thank you, Rick. I thank you, Chris. I thank you, Steve. I thank you, Danny, for coming on and commenting today. I know there was other people here. And I thank Joe LaRusso for coming on and promoting the Jimmy Fund. And guys, it's a great cause, the Jimmy Fund. And if you can go there and even donate just a small amount of money, it will make a big difference. All those little donations make a big difference. And I'd like to go out there. I'd love to even do a live show out there. And if I was able to, I might ask Joe about that. I might take a ride. We'll see how it goes. But I thank you guys for joining me today. I know a little bit of a different feel to the show today, and I apologize for Dennis not making it. He apologizes for not making it, but we'll do our best to reschedule him. Here comes a weed whacker again. You guys have a great Friday. We'll see you at 3 with the Major League Baseball update. Keith Engle out.